Shalom and welcome to Temple Talk. This is Yitzhak Reuven speaking to you from just east of Jerusalem. Today is the 26th day of the month of Av, 5782. It's the 23rd of August, 2022. This coming Shabbat we read parashat Re'eh. See, Re'eh begins in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11, verse 26, concludes chapter 16, verse 17. And this coming Shabbat is also the first day of two-day Rosh Chodesh, inaugurating the incoming month of Elul, that wonderful month, that wonderful prosdor, that wonderful, what's the English word? I can't think of it, but that entry room into the high holidays, which of course begin in Tishrei, the month following Elul. But that month of Elul, this upcoming month, is a month of preparation spiritually, mentally, even physically, for those great and holy days of Tishrei, Rosh HaShana, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, and so on and so forth. So exciting times are coming up. Things are just starting to heat up here. Again, we just 3 weeks ago, just under 3 weeks ago, was Tisha B'Av, which was the culmination of 3 weeks of mourning concerning the destruction of the Holy Temple, and 3 weeks in the middle of the summer, no less, of as I said, mourning and introspection, and what we call in Hebrew Heshbon Nefesh, really being honest with ourselves about where we're going with the Holy Temple, what it means to us. And then Tisha B'Av, the fast of the 9th of Av, comes along, and there's an easing of the heaviness and the lifting of spirits. And then, of course, just days later is Tu B'Av, the happiest day, one of the two happiest days of the year, Tu B'Av, and that kind of gets us out of our 3-week feeling of mourning or sadness or frustration or whatever, gets us completely out of it. And then now, 2 weeks later, we're getting ready for Elul, which is the real ramp up toward the high holidays. So we'll be talking much more about Elul next week, in next week's show. But this coming Shabbat, Friday night Shabbat, is the first day of Rosh Chodesh Av, and Saturday night, Sunday, is the second day. Of Rosh Chodesh Elul. I meant to say that when there was a 2-day Rosh Chodesh, the first day is actually the final day of the outgoing month. So this Shabbat is actually the 30th of Av, and Motzei Shabbat, that is at Saturday night, Saturday evening, is the first day of Elul. And of course, with Elul, we immediately introduce certain customs in order to prepare for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and prepare to awareness. And one, of course, is every morning we blow the shofar. After our morning tefillah, morning prayer, we blow the shofar as a wake-up call, time to get serious now. It's time to really look at how we've been this past year, what we've accomplished, what we haven't, our successes, our failures, our achievements, our lack of achievements, and where we want to go from here. And in that way, we can really take advantage of Elul and come into Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur prepared with a program where we want to head to, and stand before HaShem, and not have to, be scrambling for an answer as to who we are, or what we want to be, and where we're going. No, we have a chance now, opportunity to really focus on those questions, and hopefully direct our lives, if we need to redirect our lives in a positive way. Last week on the radio program, I gave a very broad hint that things are happening in the field concerning the Duma, the red heifer, and concerning raising a red heifer that is kosher and fit to be converted into the ashes of the red heifer, which of course would usher in a new era of purity, temple purity in Israel and the world, which would be a great plus for all humanity, even those who don't realize it, and also really help us focus on moving forward with. It's one less. The ashes of the red heifer are a big, not a stumbling block, but a big challenge that we need to meet in order to continue with our plans and preparations to rebuild the Holy Temple. So once we meet that, it's full steam ahead. And I said, let's ask everybody to have in their prayers that the very sensitive processes that are happening now concerning the red heifers, that they be successful. I'm not saying that y'all didn't pray hard enough, but we have had some difficulties, some stumbling blocks, which are certainly surmountable. But again, it involves tremendous effort and funding, and it's not easy, and tremendous patience and perseverance. So we're going to get through this, and again, hopefully soon I will be able to report a little more openly and visually on where we're at with the red heifers. But keep on praying for the success of our efforts, because again, we are still at a very sensitive point in our steps forward, and I cannot elaborate for many reasons. So I just ask that you bear with us and trust that we are really putting our best, our all into this. And I have to see difficulties as a sign that this is real. Moving forward with anything of real significance, of real importance, is always going to be difficult. It doesn't come easy. I don't think it's meant to come easy. God places challenges that He places them so that we will overcome them, and as we overcome them, that we'll grow and ourselves mature spiritually and prophetically, so that we'll be in the right people in the right place at the right time when the advances are really made. So again, I ascribe the difficulties to God's will, and I believe that God's will is that we'll succeed, and the difficulties are just meant to cause us to work all that much harder and with more determination in order to succeed. So those are my words. That's my report on the red heifer. And speaking of the red heifer, and when we speak of the red heifer, of course we think of the Holy Temple. And speaking of the Holy Temple, which we love to do, this week's parashat, Re'eh. Wow. Re'eh. All of a sudden, boom, the covers are blown off. The vision, Moshe's vision, because this is all Moshe's, this is Moshe's words in the book of Deuteronomy. Moshe's vision of the Holy Temple comes into full focus in parashat Re'eh. And it's very fascinating how it happens and how it's described, the words used and the words not used. We're going to be talking about all that in just a moment, but let's begin by reading the first few verses of parashat Re'eh in Hebrew, then in English. We're in chapter 11, verse 26 in the book of Deuteronomy. Re'eh, Anochi noten lifnechem hayom bracha uklala את הברכה אשר תשמעו אל מצוות השם אלוהיכם אשר אנוכי מצווה אתכם היום. והקללה אם לא תשמעו אל מצוות השם אלוהיכם, וסרתם מן הדרך אשר אנוכי מצווה אתכם היום, ללכת אחרי אלוהים אחרים אשר לא ידעתם. See, Re'eh means see. Look, see. I present before you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing, that you hearken to the commandments of HaShem your God that I command you today. And the curse, if you do not hearken to the commandments of HaShem your God, and you stray from the path that I command you today, to follow gods of others that you did not know. Blessing and a curse. A recurring theme. We've come across this before in the Torah, and we're going to come across it again more than once in the book of Deuteronomy. A blessing and a curse, bracha uklala. And the unique aspect of this blessing and a curse, and the curse, is that it's completely up to us. We choose. If we choose to follow God's commandments, if we choose to go with God, then we're blessed. The blessing is in the choice itself. If we choose not to follow God's ways, if we choose to stray and distance ourselves from HaShem, then we're cursed. It's very simple. In this case, however, the Moshe actually takes it somewhere else. It's not simply a concept of a blessing and a curse. Let's read what he has to say next in verse 29. It shall be that when HaShem your God brings you to the land to which you come to possess it, then you shall deliver the blessing on Mount Gerizim and the curse on Mount Ebal. Are they not on the other side of the Jordan, far in the direction of the sunset, in the land of the Canaanite that dwells in the plain, far from Gilgal, near the plains of Moreh? For you are crossing the Jordan to come and possess the land that HaShem your God gives you. You shall possess it, and you shall settle in it. You shall be careful to perform all the decrees and the ordinances that I present before you today. So what Moshe is referring to here is what we're going to be reading about more later in the book of Deuteronomy, is a ceremony that takes place on these two mountains. One is right next to the other, and the nation is divided up on the two mountains. And on one mountain, the people there recite blessings. On the other mountain, they recite curses. And the blessings, of course, are for following the commandments, and the curses are for not following the commandments. Mount Gerizim, which was the mount in which the blessings were cursed, is also known today here in Israel as Har Bracha, Mount of Blessing. There's a beautiful Jewish town located on Har Bracha, and Har Bracha is also the location of the ancient altar, massive altar that Joshua built when he did bring Israel into the land and followed these precise commandments here. They did it. They did what Moshe told them to do. And they built an altar there. Again, we're going to be reading more about that altar, the instructions to build it later in Deuteronomy. Remains of that altar remain till today. It's massive, and it's very easily recognizable as an altar. It has that shape that we know is how an altar is to be constructed. Har Gerizim is also the location of the Samaritan Temple. Samaritans are a group sort of with an uncertain genesis, but they began during the time between the first and second temple when Israel was in exile in Babylon. And they have a Sefer Torah. They have a Torah scroll, very similar, not exactly identical, very similar to our Sefer Torah. And they believe that the commandment was actually to build the temple on Mount Gerizim, and their temple was likewise destroyed a long time ago. They still hold certain ceremonies on Har Gerizim. Most famously is the Passover offerings, the slaughter of the Passover offerings. Their Passover, their calendar is slightly different than our calendar, so the day that they slaughter their animals is not the day that we would slaughter our animals. And so many Jews actually visit each year to watch their ceremony, because it doesn't coincide with our Passover. In any case, the topic of the blessings and the curses on Mount Gerizim and Mount Eval are going to be set aside for the moment by Moshe. And he continues in chapter 12, verse 1. These are the decrees and the ordinances that you shall observe to perform in the land that HaShem, the God of your fathers, has given you to possess it all the days that you live on the land. You shall utterly destroy all the places where the nations that you are driving away worship their gods, on the high mountains and on the hills and under every leafy tree. You shall break apart their altars, you shall smash their pillars, and their sacred trees shall you burn in the fire. Their carved images shall you cut down, and you shall obliterate their names from that place. You shall not do this to HaShem your God. Rather, only at the place that HaShem your God will choose from among all your tribes to place his name, there shall you seek out his presence and come there, and you shall bring your burnt offerings and feast offerings, your tithes, and what you raise up with your hands, your vow offerings and your free will offerings, and the firstborn of your cattle and your flocks. You shall eat there before HaShem your God, and you shall rejoice with your every undertaking, you and your households, as HaShem your God has blessed you. Wow, it's out in the open now. Moshe has just pulled the lid off. He's uncovered the promise, the vision, his vision of the Holy Temple in the land of Israel. This is the first, certainly the first overt mention of the Holy Temple in the book of Deuteronomy, and certainly the most specific and instructive verses concerning the temple that needs to be built in Israel, and the place that God will choose in the entire book of five books of the Torah. This is it. This is big stuff, and 16 times the word makom, hamakom, the place, is mentioned. The place that God will choose is mentioned in the book of in parashat Re'eh, in this week's Torah reading. 16 times hamakom. The place itself, the location itself, isn't revealed. It's the place that God will choose. You know, it seems odd that God will choose. Hasn't God made up his mind from the beginning of time? So it's an interesting concept, God choosing. But I think what it might really be hinting at is that the choice is ours. God knows where he wants this holy temple to be. And Israel eventually would reveal it under King David and Samuel the prophet. It would be revealed to them that Jerusalem, indeed, the city that David conquered and turned into his capital, the capital of Israel forever, would be the place of the Holy Temple on Mount Moriah, which at that time just stood outside above, just to the north of the city of David, Jerusalem. And that actually the temple is located, we mentioned here, God will choose where it will be amongst your tribes. It's actually located partly in the tribe of Judah, and partly in the tribe of Benjamin. It's right on the seam, which is very fascinating. That is the exact location of the Holy Temple. But why isn't it mentioned? Why is its precise location not mentioned now? Now we know that the place of the Holy Temple would be Mount Moriah, and that's the place where Abraham brought Yitzhak, his son, as an offering, as per God's command. That's where that was the field in which Yitzhak was praying and meditating when Rivka, his wife, his soon-to-be wife, first laid eyes upon him from a distance. That is the place where Jacob was laid down to sleep and had a dream. That is where he had a dream of the future Holy Temple. That's the place. It's all there. It's the place where the Garden of Eden was located, where man was created. So yes, this place has been fixed since before creation. still, it was God's choice and ours that the temple would actually be established in this place. And again, it's the choice. I mean, it's so clear. The choice is ours today. We know the location. We know what the challenges are. We know what God has asked of us, what God expects of us, what God requires of us. We know what we need to do. Are we going to do it? Are we going to do it? Are we going to make this place a place of prayer for all nations, a house of prayer for all nations? Are we going to make this place a place of peace, as the prophet Haggai has said it would be? Are we going to do it? It's up to us. It's up to us. We now, we know the place. We can't act like we don't know. Yes, there are certain hurdles. I mentioned one earlier, the red heifer. We're working day and night on solving that and overcoming that hurdle. And mainly it's a matter of the heart. The technical aspects, challenging as they are, we know that we can overcome them. Halachic aspects, things concerning Jewish law and how this proceeds and how that will proceed, those things have and can be worked out. It's whether we want it or not, and that's the big challenge. And that really, with all the other challenges, is the biggest challenge, and the biggest challenge of the Temple Institute, I may say. We work on this all the time, on trying to show people what a wonderful thing it can be, and what a wonderful place the Holy Temple will be, and that what a wonderful place the Temple Mount is and can be. And it's part of the process, returning to the Temple Mount, returning the Temple Mount into the heart and the consciousness and the minds and the thoughts and the dreams of Israel and all the nations is part of the whole process. It's what we're working on. This is all choice. We choose. Are we going to do it or not? Okay. So this place that God is going to choose, and it's called Hamakom. It's always referred to here as Hamakom, the place. Hamakom is an expression that is used by Jews traditionally to refer to either the Holy Temple, the place of the Holy Temple, or God Himself, because we say that God is the place of all existence. God is beyond the place, but all existence exists within God. A very challenging concept. But God is referred to as Hamakom, and the Holy Temple is referred to as Hamakom. Interestingly enough, if you recall, way back in parashat Vayera, when Avraham, in the book of Genesis, when Avraham was told to bring Yitzchak, his son, to Mount Moriah in order to offer him up, that the place is referred to as Hamakom. He saw Hamakom from a distance. Remember? Interesting, huh? That really is the name, the moniker here, Hamakom. Also, what's interesting is that he saw it from a distance, and then he lifted up his eyes later and saw the ram with his horns tangled up in the brush, and then it says this is when after he saw and he offered up the ram instead of his son, he said, "This is the place. This is the mountain where God sees, and the place where the mountain where God will be seen." So this concept of seeing Re'eh and the place is very prominent in the story of the Akedah, the binding of Yitzhak, and it's very prominent in this week's parasha, which is describing the Holy Temple that will be built in Israel. It's fascinating that it just comes together so tightly. And again, many times in this week's parasha, it mentioned that this is the place that you're going to go to, this is the place you're going to bring your offerings to, this is the place that you're going to celebrate the holidays, you're going to bring your families, your children, your sons, your daughters, your manservants, your female servants, and rejoice there. You will bring your offerings. What are your offerings? Those are the things that God gave you, that God blessed you with. The first fruits, the tithes, the first of your flocks and your herds. All these things that God has given you over the year. The bounty that God has blessed you with in the land. You will bring. The gift that God gave you, you're going to bring as a gift to HaShem. And that's what God asks. That's what God requires, that we don't go to this place empty-handed, that we actually bring something. And not that God needs what we're bringing, but we need to bring, we need to acknowledge, we need to be able to express our gratitude. And this is the way that we can do it. This is how we can thank HaShem. So God is giving us the blessing, and He's also instructing us how to be grateful for our sakes, right? For our sakes, how to be grateful, so that we will keep the connection with HaShem, so that we'll never, something that we're warned about in the book of Deuteronomy, that we don't grow vain and proud and say, oh, we're really good at this. We're really strong. We're really smart. We're really tough. We know how to do it. We know how. We conquered the land with our own strength. We were good farmers, so we get all these good crops. No, however skilled we are, however wonderful we may be, everything comes from HaShem, and absolutely nothing comes our way if it hasn't been green-lighted by HaShem. So yes, we have to always be thankful, always be grateful for Hashem's blessings. And again, the choice is ours, blessing or a curse. If we're grateful, if we're thankful, if we're cognizant of Hashem's blessing, of His presence in our lives, we'll be blessed. If not, we'll be cursed. We will not have the life that we could have had, were we more cognizant and appreciative and aware of God's presence, not just in the Holy Temple, where His presence is overwhelming, but in our lives, day to day, and all that we do, and all our choices, and all our endeavors. God's always there. God is always there. It's up to us. So on and so forth. Again, over and over and over again in this week's parashat, we read of this place, this wonderful place where we're going to be going to, and enjoying ourselves with one another as well as with Hashem. Hashem's there; it's His house, and we're going to go, and all of Israel, and God willing, God-fearing people from around the world will meet soon, God willing, in the Holy Temple, and we're all going to be equals. We're all going to be beloved in the presence of Hashem, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I'm going to stop my my preaching for a moment to mention, you may be aware, you may have seen it, we began this week a video series called Temple Mount Moment. And with Temple Institute is producing this series with high in the har, which means high as in excited, and har is Hebrew for mount, so it's really high in the Temple Mount. High, of course, has two meanings, meaning excited and high, and also you're up high, you're ascending. High in the har is a wonderful organization that is dedicated to presenting the Temple Mount to the world and bringing people up to the Temple Mount and making the Temple Mount revealing its true nature, which is beautiful, which is peaceful, which is the future, which is all good things. And the two founders of High in the Har are producing with the Temple Institute short videos, 1 minute to 2 minute videos. They go up every day. At least Rabbi Yehuda Levi, who's one of the founders of Nahar, is up a few times a day, every day of the week, every day that Jews can go up, Sunday through Thursday. And he's a Temple Mount expert. He knows every nook and cranny, what it means, what it was, what it will be, what its significance is historically, etc., etc. And Rabbi Yehuda Levi and Dr. Kronfeld will be presenting for us each week a short teaching they're actually teaching it on the Temple Mount. They're actually filming it and teaching it. This first week we posted on Sunday about the two southern gates to the Temple Mount, where they're located today. It's amazing. People say, well, there's no sign that the temple ever stood. What if it really was a temple? Where is it? There's signs all over the place. You just have to know what to look for. And they certainly do. And so we're very excited. We got very wonderful response with the first video. It's on our YouTube channel. It's on our Facebook page. It's on our Instagram, as well as the social media of Nahar. And many thousands of people have seen the first episode, and once a week we hope to have a new teaching, short teaching, but very inspiring and very exciting, because it's actually being filmed on the Temple Mount. Not too long ago, something like that, would have not been allowed. The police would not have allowed anybody to do that. But today, thank God, they're free to do that and to share these fascinating insights, exciting insights with everybody. So I'm very excited to be able to share that with you, and hopefully we'll be going strong with that for a long time, and each week something new and exciting. That is Temple Mount Moment. Look for it, enjoy it, share it. And I want to read now we only have a couple minutes left, but another very beautiful passage from this week's parashat, beginning with chapter 14, verse 1. You are children to HaShem your God. In Hebrew, it's even more beautiful. Bani matem laHashem Elokechem. You are children to HaShem your God. You shall not cut yourselves, and you shall not make a bald spot between your eyes for a dead person. For you are a holy people to HaShem your God, and HaShem has chosen you for himself to be a treasured people from among all the peoples in the face of the earth. We're children. You know what? God's not just speaking to Israel. He's speaking to all humanity. We're all God's children. We're all the children of Adam, who was created by God. Why is that followed by, you shall not cut yourselves and scar yourselves, mourning the dead? Rashi has a very beautiful insight. He says, because you're God's children, you're beautiful. Don't cause yourself to be, don't mangle yourselves. Don't scarify yourselves. You're beautiful. You're Hashem's children. That's not how Hashem's children should behave. And then it goes on to say, if you're a holy people to Hashem, your God, Hashem has chosen you to be a treasured people for him. This is the idea of the chosen people. A lot of people get upset about this. The Jews think they're chosen. You know what? We're all chosen. We're all chosen people. Every nation has its purpose on earth, and God has chosen every nation to fulfill its purpose. That God revealed our purpose, the purpose for Israel in the Torah, is a wonderful thing. It's nothing to be jealous of. It's a wonderful thing. If that's your purpose also, if your purpose is the same, wonderful. If your purpose is to reveal another facet of God's presence, of his greatness on earth, go for it. Treasured people, Am Skula. It doesn't even mean chosen, actually. Am Skula means special. We're special. We're all special. And it's good to be special. God has created us. Of course we're special. We're here on this earth. We're alive because we need to be, because God needs us to be here. That's special. Thank you so much for being with me. Temple Talk.